Hey everybody, Doug the CrocGardener here. Today we're going to do something that I have not done yet before in my garden. We're going to go over and do a review of my soil test that I got. Now, if you have tuned in before, you'll probably seen that I did a comparison to the field next door. So I did 2 of these tests. So if you haven't seen that video yet, check that out. You'll see some differences between my garden and a field that had corn or beans in it last year, just to see the comparison between the two. It was kind of curious. It was kind of interesting for me. So that's something that we need to check out. So what I did was I went on Amazon and I got me one of these Soil Savvy kits. This is super easy. It's not real expensive. Basically, you take some soil, put it in a bag, mix it up, take it from different places of the garden, mix it up in that soil, put a little sample in this cup they got, put the cup in the envelope, bring it to the post office, mail it off, and then here in about a week they get it. 3 days later, I got my results back via an email. And then I was able to go on and print them out and do whatever I needed to do with them. So, without further ado, here is the thing that we are questioning today. Look how dark that soil is. I have to say that soil is one of those things that I've been working on for quite some time in my garden, to take it from, point A to hopefully point B. So that's one of these things that I've been kind of working on over time, try to improve my soil. I'm also known to overdo things, so that may show in some of these tests, but we'll get to it. But if you don't have a good soil in your garden, folks, you probably aren't going to have as good of a garden as what you could. So this was like $23, I think. Probably going to be a good $23. It'll probably save me in fertilizer or any type of organic fertilizer that I was going to put down. I just spent it on a soil test, and it's probably going to save me money in the long run anyways. So something to think about. So without further ado, I have my test results right here. We'll put them up on the screen here for you guys to take a look at. But one of the first things that I want to talk about on this, and it's way back at the end here, is going to be my pH levels. I think pH should be one of the first and foremost things that we need to discuss. Because if your pH level isn't right, your nutrients aren't going to be taken up right. Vegetables really like to have a slightly acidic soil to neutral soil. So when I say acidic, pH 1 is very acidic, and you go up, anything above a 7 is going to be alkaline. 7 is the neutral point. 7 is right dab smack in the middle. So with my soil, I have a 6.46 pH, which is a pretty neutral soil. So it's slightly acidic. I think the vegetables will like that for the most part. If I wanted to increase that, I could go ahead and do that by sprinkling some wood ash in the garden. That'll help bring that pH levels up. Matter of fact, I've always done that. Every year I've sprinkled some wood ash into the garden, and I assume my pH was going to be more alkaline than what it is. But it's not. It's at a 6.46, so I'm doing good. So we're doing good with that. Now, some vegetables, like your blueberries and your strawberries, they do like a more acidic. So try to avoid having that pH up towards 7 when you're around that mark. Just certain plants like it acidic, certain plants would prefer it closer to the neutral. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is going to be your big 3. You got your NPK. N stands for nitrogen, P stands for phosphorus, and K stands for potassium. Even though it starts with a P, it stands for potassium. So those are usually found on your fertilizer bags or anything that you got for fertilizer. It's going to show up there as the 3 numbers. N is going to be the first one. Phosphorus is going to be the second one, and potassium is going to be the third one. So let's start off with my nitrogen levels here. Now, your total nitrogen levels you want in the garden are going to be anywhere from 20 to 30 parts per million. That's the unit of measurement this uses. Don't really ask me what parts per million is actually going to be in terms of what it is. I'm just using this as a guideline on what I need to do, and we can do the research to raise or lower that as I feel fit from here on out. So My nitrogen level is at a 7, so I am way below on my nitrogen levels. However, nitrogen is one of those things that's pretty easy to add to the garden. You can find a organic fertilizer like blood meal or something like that that's 13 and then 0, 0. So I won't be raising the other two. So that's something that we can raise pretty easy in the garden. It's going to be something easy to put in. Alfalfa pellets, compost, all those will raise my nitrogen levels into the garden. Nitrogen is really good for leafy greens and get abundance of growth out of your plants. That's why you would want it. And it's also important to note too that nitrogen levels can go up and down pretty quick. They're not one of the stable ones in the soil tests. One of the stable macronutrients in the soil tests. The next one is phosphorus. When I think of phosphorus, I think of flowering and fruiting and different things like that. So your vegetable gardens, you typically want a 4 to 10 parts per million on your phosphorus. Mine is at a 76. So now, when you have that, you're going to have issues with higher levels of phosphorus can prevent other macronutrients from being absorbed by the plants. Same thing with potassium. High levels of potassium are the same way. So you're looking at different things like your root development and fruiting with your phosphorus. Those are going to give you a very stable plant down below with your roots. If you have a lot of phosphorus in your soil, it should produce a lot of root development. That makes a more stable plant for whenever it grows up top. I need to figure out how to use up all this phosphorus in my soil. I don't think there's a way of reducing it other than planting plants and letting them grow and not amending with phosphorus. The next one on the list is potassium. Potassium, it's out there and it's good for disease and plant vigor. Fruiting vegetables usually like potassium a lot. My potassium level is at 132.97. So I'm up to 133 essentially. So the recommended level is 30 to 55. So on this chart, you can see I'm blowing it out of the water. Again, that could pose problems with uptakes of other nutrients. So we need to keep that in check. On a side note, fruiting vegetables love potassium. Your tomatoes, your peppers, your flowers. I mean, all those, anything that produces a flower to produce fruit is going to like it, like your squashes. I mean, if you really think about it, if you want to get bigger fruits in the garden, say you're trying to do a contest or, something along the lines of that, and you want to put a big tomato or something. We'll discuss that later. Might be something to think about. Probably not in the levels that I got, but something to think about. So that's your top 3 of your macronutrients. There are more macronutrients out there, like your calcium. On that, I am way high as well. 175 is the upper limit of that. I'm at 495. I am well blowing that out of the water. Now, calcium, that's supposed to, if you have enough calcium in your soil, it helps prevent blossom end rot. That's not totally true. It does help with it, but you still can end up with blossom end rot if you don't have any water. You need that water for the plants to be able to take up that calcium. The next one on my list is magnesium. This helps with chlorophyll production, makes your plants nice and green. The general parts per million on that is 15 to 35. I'm sitting at a 52, so I'm slightly above that range. We'll have to work on bringing that down. Sulfur is the next one. 6 to 12 is the recommended range. I'm at 14. That's also good for protein and different things in your plants. Sodium is the next one on the list. I'm right dead smack in the middle of that, right there. We got a 6 to I'm sorry, 1 to 20 on that range, and I'm sitting at a 13.5. So I'm doing good with sodium. Now, sodium is going to be the amount of salts that's kind of in your garden. If you have a high level of sodium in your garden from one of these tests, you're probably overdoing your synthetic fertilizers. It's one of the downfalls of synthetic fertilizers usually is because they are high in the sodium content. The next one on the list is iron. The 0.5 to 2 range is where we're at on that one for the recommended. I'm at 2.3, so I'm doing pretty good with iron. Manganese is next. Manganese is going to be 2 to 4's recommended range. I'm at a 5, so I'm still up there as well on that. Zinc, 0.1 to 0.2 is the recommended range, and I am sitting right in dab smack in the middle at 0.16. So I'm doing really good with zinc. Now the next two I have deficiencies as well, and in addition to my nitrogen. The next one is copper, Cu. The enzyme activity there, basically if you have copper deficiencies, you'll see little yellow spots in the middle of your leaves. I don't know. I mean, I typically have that from time to time. So I might need to improve on my copper there. I'm just barely out of the range. You're supposed to have a 0.05 to 0.1 range on that, and I am sitting at 0.05, which really is at the very, very lowest part of that. The next one is boron. So boron's for cell wall formation. Boron really is helpful for like brassicas and different root crops. I do grow a lot of brassicas, so that's probably why my boron levels are so low. They probably get used up. The recommendations on that is 0.1 to 0.2. I'm at a 0.04. So I am probably pretty low as I am with my nitrogen on that one. So we'll have to look into ways to fix that as well. So a couple things to note. Even though I am high, a lot of this is about balance. You want to kind of be in the good zone. You don't want to have a lot of deficiencies, but you also don't want to have a lot of highs on there on your graph. So you want to be able to have good quality soil. You don't want to have too much. Too much can be a good thing, or too much cannot be a good thing sometimes. So first thing I need to do with my soil is I need to look at raising my nitrogen levels. How am I going to do this? Well, one, I'm going to probably apply more of my Alaskan fish fertilizer that I typically do. I didn't do that as much last year as I probably should have. That's usually a water-soluble fertilizer. I just dump into a watering bucket and go around and water the plants. That will definitely raise my nitrogen. I can also apply a blood meal. Usually the blood meal is like a 1300, so it won't have any phosphorus or potassium in it. So I can eliminate having to add to those numbers if I do that. The fish emulsion fertilizer is a 511, so I'll be adding more nitrogen, but not near as much potassium or phosphorus in there as well. So another couple things that I could do to raise the nitrogen in my garden is to continue to compost and continue to mulch. All that comfrey does have nitrogen in it as well. Now, the copper and the boron levels, I'm not really overly concerned with these, especially the copper. I think the copper will take care of itself. The boron, what I can do is go get some borax and sprinkle it out throughout the garden, and I think that'll help out with the boron levels. Actually, I may end up doing that here relatively quick, just to see if I can start getting those levels up, and then we'll see how well my plants respond, especially my brassicas, my cabbages, and my broccoli and Brussels sprouts. We'll just really have to see how well those respond to that increased boron. Now, if I don't do that, I think I still am in good shape. I think that by continuing my comfrey, I preach on this comfrey because it is a free resource that I'm growing, and I can cut last year I think I cut that thing 3 times. I probably could cut that stuff 5 times if I wanted to. Just put that on, continually putting that on the soil, making it better and better and better. I think I've done that for like the last 3 years with that comfrey, and that I mean, look, you can look at my levels. I'm doing pretty good in most aspects of things. And if I continue to do that, I think my micronutrients will start increasing. And I think things are going to be looking pretty good in my garden. I won't have to be using as much added fertilizers. And also with the same thing goes with the compost. By adding the compost, I think I'll continue to do that as well. I think I'll be continuing to help out my garden. So, when am I going to do a next round of soil testing? Well, typically what I would want to do is maybe do soil testing about every other year. However, this is my first year of doing that. I'm going to make some changes to the way I'm doing things. I'm going to keep this sheet here, and we're going to do another soil test next year. And we're going to do it about the same time of year, so we can get the same type of results and have a kind of a control. And then we can see where we're going. If we're heading with those numbers that are too high, if we're heading down like we should, or the numbers that need to go up, and see if we're heading up where we should. So I think this is going to be next year. I'm going to do this again. Now, if I'm right where I want to be, I think we're going to keep things the way they are. But I have potential to do this next year and the following year. And then if I hit where I need to be, if I don't see any trends that are moving in bad directions, I think I'll do it about every other year for my garden. What do I not like about this test? Well, so far this test, I think, does a really good job. I mean, it gives you a fantastic wealth of information here. How many of you guys have this in your garden? Have this available to you? You guys could, but it just gives you a ton of information. Something you need to look at. So one of the things I don't like about this test is the fact that it doesn't tell me, how much organic matter I have in my garden. I know there's other tests that will tell you that. Do I need to know that? I'm pretty confident I got quite a bit of organic matter. I'm pretty sure that's going to be another one of those things that's going to be shooting up pretty high. But it would be nice just to know about that. So that's the only downfall I have to say about this soil savvy test, is that I probably won't get that. I don't have that listed on my report. But overall, I really do like this soil savvy test. So I do recommend you guys go out and get it if you haven't. If you're going to go out and thinking about getting a test and looking for tests to get, I would highly suggest that you get this test. So I got a couple questions for you guys. Have you guys ever done a soil test in your garden? Have you thought about doing it? Were you ever curious? Why don't you guys let me know down below. And if you've done one, how do your numbers look? Do your numbers look way out of whack like mine are up here with some of these? Or are you guys way below? Or are you guys perfect? I know everybody's not perfect, but I mean, this is just something, this is awesome information to know. So why don't you guys leave me a comment below. Are you going to do a soil test this year? Have you done one in the past? Let me know your results. If you guys want to see what I do to improve upon this, I may reference this several times in my future videos. Click that subscribe button. You'll find out. Give me that thumbs up. As always, guys, love you all. God bless.